Gabel had managed to use Azael's shooting as a distraction to stab one of the advancing Daemar soldiers in his side, but the lack of physical strength had made the strike shallow. In return, the military pilot got his right hand blown apart by a rail rifle round, which ripped a pained scream from his throat.
This is just sad at this point, but you did get me. Huh. Stings, but not as bad as this will, bluey scum, the Daemar soldier said, gloating as he began charging a shot with his rifle.
No! Don't you dare!
Azael screamed out as she rushed desperately out from cover, shooting her kinetic handgun to no avail. The shots just bounced right off the Daemar's bodysuit. As the demon-like alien was about to let off the round, a silvery javelin cut through the air and hit the rifle's receiver. The spike-like metal rod impaled the gun into the ship's wall, right before the unloading shot blew it to bits, and the Daemar's hands along with it. Oh, how the red soldier screamed as his nubs gushed with deep, dark, crimson blood. As he was about to enter shock, his shaky, dark-eyed gaze stared at where the metal rod just flew from. From the darkness of the hallway, a pair of blue eyes shined akin to beacons of eternal hope. Heavy steps got closer, and into the blue emergency light, William's armored figure could now be spotted.
You dare point your fire-spitting crossbow at an angel, you foul vermin of hell! You shan't shed one more drop of divine essence while I stand. God cometh to claim his pound of flesh, and I am his hand!
William's voice rang out, burning with a primal, zealous anger, the metallic tone to his utterances making them ring out even harsher. As his longsword's blade sparked in his right hand, he lifted up his left shoulder, and another javelin formed from his suit's material. The Daemar froze in place, began to whimper as it heard the unintelligible screaming clearly directed at him.
Stand down! I see!
His whimpering didn't manage to reach their obvious conclusion, as the javelin William held was now found in the Daemar's gut. The impact knocked him onto his back. Azael, who was by Gabel's side, putting a tourniquet on his stump, had glanced up for just a few moments to see the silvery figure of someone clearly wearing the RF suit. Or was it? It looked so different. Is that the damned native? What did those crazy scientists do? They gave it the RF armor? She thought for a moment before refocusing on aiding Gabel's injury. Still, Azael's eyes caught a glimpse of something spine-chilling. The native was now up close to the Daemar, who tried to back away on his elbows. William lifted his longsword over his head at an angle, clearly meant for a side-diagonal cut.
For each spoonful of blood that got spilled from God's children, I demand a head! Your tithe is due, abomination! Run!
The Daemar screamed as if he just saw his own god himself. The screeching of terror was stopped by the knight's blade decapitating him entirely. William was panting and growling as he dropped his sword, which turned to liquid metal and retracted back into the armor, like the metal javelin that was still in the wall once he got closer. He pulled out the remaining javelin from the demon's body, and then grasped its head from the top and mounted it onto the blunt end of the javelin. That was just sheer and utter savagery, was the one thing Azael muttered, as both her and Gabel stared at William exiting the ship. Those damned scientists! They gave a monster the means to destroy even more easily. Ugh! Gabel said with a groan. Her co-pilot's grunt snapped her out of the weird state of mind that she was in. Azael helped Gabel to stand up, and she began dragging him deeper into the ship. We'll deal with that later. Let's patch you up, Gab. Outside, the two remaining Daemar were checking upon their other fallen comrade to see if they could be saved.
It's no use. Garroth bled out, and we don't have what is necessary to attempt to bring him back. We should retreat, Captain. I just heard Skeg's death screams over the comms,
the lower-ranking Daemar said with a shaky voice.
I will not be bested by a research ship and a bloody mud-eating native. I would rather die instead of writing that shit show of a report paper. A shameful smear on my... Huh?
The Daemar captain didn't manage to finish his speech, as his eyes turned to gaze in the direction from which metal stomps could be heard coming from. William had exited the ship, and as he looked about, he turned around the back end of the ship. It didn't take long for him to find the remaining ones. The Daimar captain and his soldiers' eyes widened as they saw the silvery form of William, who carried Skegg's head on top of a metal rod. The poor soldier's expression was frozen with terror.
Dolan, hold him off! That's an order!
Uttered the captain as he backed up, while William stared at them as he planted the rod of the impaled head into the ground.
What?
Dolan, the Daimar soldier, said confused, as he turned to see his captain scurry off in the direction of their ship. The poor soldier didn't have time to think to go against his order, as the silvery knight rushed at him.
Bestow unto me your head, demon! Hurrah!
William yelled as he moved forward, with a hand outstretched to the side. A hand axe formed in his right palm's grasp. Dolan yelped as he aimed his rail rifle at William, and after the shot charged, he let it rip through the air. William's eyes could see a bloody crimson line pointing from the demon's crossbow to him. Before the hellish firebolt even tore through the air at him, the knight already moved out of his way.
You cannot strike me down, devil, for I partake of the Father's sight. You shan't make me keel over before you. God, hear your sons, please. Grant me a shield as strong as the walls that keep your silver kingdom safe.
William roared as he kept his charging momentum. Rerouting full body shielding. God stated in a language that William presumed a mortal couldn't understand. From his left forearm, a metal cross shape expanded and jutted out, forming a light blue energy, heater-shaped shield. Dolan yelled in fear as he let off shot after shot of his rail rifle. He tried backing up as fast as possible while still maintaining his fire. William used the bloody thread of fate he could see, not to avoid the shots, but to instead block them with his shield while maintaining a straight course. The rail rifle shots made his shield spark up from the impacts, but it held. Shot after shot, William got closer.
Go down, you bloody fucking mammal!
Dolan cried out in sheer terror and desperation. As a last resort, he turned off the limiter in his charge and kept charging his rifle until the armored native was about 10 meters away from him. The energy of his rifle, going well over its preset limits.
Die! Just fucking die already!
He cried out teary-eyed as he let off this one last round. William stood his ground, and he managed to block the bolt of fire with his shield. He roared as he waved his shield arm to the side, deflecting the projectile into a nearby tree. Wood splintered. Dirt and dust got blown up in the air from the overcharged shot. The Daimar soldier's rifle now had a melted barrel, and as he tossed the now useless weapon aside, he drew his kinetic sidearm. He glanced about, trying to calm his breathing, his black eyes scanning his surrounding in a hectic manner. As silence began to echo around Dolan, and the dust began to slowly start falling, the Daimar soldier dared to relax for just a moment. At this point, William shot out of the dust cloud, his blue eyes shining upon the soldier, a new type of doom and fear.
Your head! Your head for God's children!
William roared akin to a mad beast, as he brought down his silver hand axe upon the Daimar's face. Were the last words of Dolan, the Daimar soldier, the first of many unfinished pleas to go echoing into oblivion before William's fury.